Okay. All right. We can open this meeting of the Ashburnham Conservation Commission for January 24th, 2022, in accordance with the Mass Wetlands Protection Act and the Ashburnham Wetlands Protection Bylaw and all rules and regulations related thereto. First up on the agenda is a notice of intent for 471 Winchendon Road, which is for the replacement of a septic system and new well within the 100-foot buffer zone of vegetated wetlands and within the 200-foot riverfront area of a perennial waterway. I did not check the NOI lookup today, but Paul, maybe you did, but I don't believe, at least based on my recent review, that a DEP file number has been issued. Well. Hi, Paul. How are you?
Can you hear me okay?
Now I can.
Okay, good.
Do you know if DEP has issued a file number?
I just checked a few minutes ago when they have not.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, that's what I thought. So, anyway, I have reviewed the plan, and I really have no questions when we're talking about a new well and a septic system, which is in part within, the riverfront area, and within the 100-foot buffer of bordering vegetated wetlands. So, anything else to add?
Correct. No, we pushed the system as far as we could. It's in the back right corner. The wetlands are on the left side of the lot.
Right.
I'm in the back corner of the right corner of the lot. And it's as far away as we can get. The reason for the new well is we're putting the septic system where the old dog well was.
Okay.
So we've got to get the new well at least 50 feet. We can't get 100 feet away, so we're getting at least 50. Title 5 requires that. We've got erosion controls. We're using a system with the smallest footprint we can. It's kind of a pressure dose. It's called a geomat. So that keeps the size down a little bit, but yeah, there's nothing else we can do on this lot. Improvement.
Yeah, no, I acknowledge the fact that the well, based on the septic system, had to be, moved further away. You noted there were a couple of waivers that were required. Has that been through the Board of Health or?
The Board of Health has not issued their review yet. So I would expect in the next couple of weeks we'll get his comments. Usually we get them a week or so before the meeting, and then we make any edits we need to right away and get them back to them. So they'll be voting on it, the first week in February.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anybody else? Any comments? I mean, it's pretty straightforward. It's and it's, it may have been a realtor that was representing the homeowner 6 months ago that contacted me about existing environmental conditions, flood conditions, etc. And I responded with a few maps, etc. But little did I know that we'd be here again today. But I don't see any issue based on my previous findings that would alter my current opinion that things are what they are, and I see no issues.
Okay.
Only problem is that we don't have a file number.
Right, yeah, we'll have to, in another week or so, we'll rattle DEP's chain and see if we can
Yeah.
get a number from them.
Well, there's another filing that is literally going on 3 months old and doesn't have a file number. I don't get it.
Yeah, they've been, the last month or so, they've been really slow getting the numbers out
Yeah.
for some reason. Yeah.
So anyway, so I'm hesitant to close the hearing only because if we do, then I've got 21 days. And if I don't get the filing within 21 days, then, we're kind of
Right.
in a bind.
Well, yeah, no, I understand. Yep.
So I think what would be best is that if you would send me an email requesting an extension till February 14th. What a time. Then, assuming they issue the file number by that time,
Yep.
then we can vote on it at the next meeting.
All right, I will do that.
Okay, good. Then the hearing for 471 Winchendon Road, I will make a motion to continue the hearing for to February 14th.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Kristen, are we supposed to say our names again?
What's that?
Do we need to say Kristen Godfrey, I like we did previously, or?
The Zoom protocol, right? All right, Marshall Dennis, aye.
Kristen Godfrey, I.
Chris Piconi, aye.
Andrew Henderson, aye.
Okay, we're good. So I would say 6:35, same time.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll have a fine number and everything will be good to go.
Sounds good, then. We'll see you in a few weeks.
Very good. Thanks, Paul.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay. All right, next on the agenda, Al, you're with us.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, and this is Al Boehner regarding 38 Lower Lake Road, property he now owns, and he is interested at this point in the commission's comments relative to dock installation and I guess bank stabilization. So I will leave it to him to explain.
All right. I don't have control. You do, but this is good right here. So basically, you can see the existing dock there. It's a 16-foot dock. It's 4 feet on the land, so it's only sticking out about 12 feet into the water. At that point, the water is probably like a foot deep. I took a walk out. This is with the lake lowered 4 feet. You can see my footprints going out, and I went out 24 feet, and then I went across 24 feet. You can see the how the lake bed starts to drift off, gets deeper at the 24-foot mark out there. You can see the angles of the, it drops off there. So I'd like to add a 24-foot extension onto that dock at a minimum, so I can get a boat pulled in. And ideally, I would like to put an L to it with a 24-foot across the front, so I could pull in sideways versus coming in into the shallow water, if possible. I think if you go down to the next picture, it sure shows a little bit of outline of what I'm talking about doing and coming out in that area there, just into that deep water, which looks like it better be all 4 feet deep, because if that's still on land right now, but the lake was dropped 4 feet. So I'm guessing we have 4 feet of water out there, 3 to 4 feet up in that area there. If you look at the length of the dock, you see 24, it's about 35 feet out in the water. The next picture, I grabbed some off of Google Maps. Well, that's basically, yeah, the one at the bottom, that's Google Maps there. I measured using the tool on Google Earth, excuse me, and I measured the docks around me. They're all about 35 feet. The 25-foot dock, the lake gets deeper there. The shoreline, it brings the shore up a little bit. So, me going out 35 feet would be in line with my neighbor's dock, at least in the straight section. But I would, like to see, is any negativity to me putting an L out there, or what the rulings are, or what the thoughts are there.
Let me just ask, from the shoreline out would be 24 feet?
It'd be 35 feet from the shoreline out. I measured the docks, like the 2 docks below mine, south of my dock.
Yeah.
Those are both 35 feet if I measured them on Google Earth, which is pretty.
From the shoreline or bank?
From the
of
shoreline out, not from where you see them. Actually measured from the shoreline out was 35 feet.
And then the L section is in addition, it's not a total 24 feet.
It would be, it'd be 20 feet plus the width, it'd be 24 total.
Yeah, right, but so it's 20 feet plus the 4 foot that would exist.
With the dock, yes.
Yeah.
With the 4 foot wide dock, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what do you think is the water depth at those, vertical, horizontal locations?
So where those are today, the lake is dry. So I'm guessing they put, if they went down 4 feet, the lake's dry in that area based on where I was walking. It was snow there. So it's going to be maybe 3.5, 4 feet. If they had they took the lake down 4 feet.
Okay. Well, I guess it seems somewhat consistent with, your neighbors.
The distance out is definitely consistent with my neighbors. Like I said, my neighbors don't have that L to it. Other docks on the lake do, but I'm just kind of curious, is there any objections to doing that? Because if I come in with a 20, with a 22-foot pontoon boat, I'm going to be, almost on the beach in it because the water's low up in that area there.
Well, what if the vertical, the dock sticking out from the land was 20 feet, and then you put a next.
I think if you look, go back up to the snow picture, you can see how it drops off at the very one of those there. You can see that it's that one there. You can see the tilt right on that area there. That's really where I'd probably pick up a foot over 4 feet right there. So that's where I start getting my water depth. So I think people have the boats out that far. They go out that 35 feet area there. And I noticed even when the water was dropped, you could see their engines had a little area that was cavitate, from just the motor and the propeller, just dug out and dredged a little area as they. So at that point they're observed. It looked like the little little pockets in the lake bottom from that were created by the engines. So it's so I really do think I need to at least go out out to that depth down out there 24 feet in addition to what's there already. Will get me about 35 out.
So you would propose to park the boat along the L shape?
I prefer that if all possible, if that's possible, to do the L. I guess I'm wondering, what's the
Which
commission's feeling about the L? It's,
which is going to stick out way more than your neighbors.
won't stick out anymore. I'll just be,
Well, if you scroll down, whoever,
yeah,
keep going, keep going, keep going. There you go.
yeah,
You know, it looks like your neighbors are, at least the one on the top is parking, parallel to the wharf.
right,
And the
because,
your neighbor way to the south is parking parallel.
Yep.
Whereas, and clearly the one next to you is probably parking parallel
Right.
because there's not a lot of, so
Yep.
why do you need to do that?
I'm just asking if it's possible. If, I guess I'm just asking, I definitely need to extend it out to 30, the 35 feet.
But I mean, what if the
Yeah.
L wasn't there? Because clearly you're not going to go around the L and park inside.
I could with my jet
Uh,
skis.
That's true, but
Yeah.
uh,
So I definitely, I could definitely park I have 2 jet skis I'm trying to pull in there too. So I could,
and what's the draft of the jet skis?
6 inches maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And what's
Yeah.
the draft of the pontoon boat?
Probably at least a minimum, well, the pontoons themselves is probably close to a foot. And then and the engine itself has at least 3 feet total.
Which you could angle up to get it in and out.
Yep, no, I could live with a straight in dock like the other folks have.
Okay.
I was just while I'm asking for a dock, I'm just asking, is it possible to put an L in there also?
All right. It just to explain. Al is here for on an information basis. We're not approving, or we're just advising him at this point. So later on, he's going to have house related applications, which he may combine with the dock, et cetera, et cetera. So whatever, this is just a fact finding thing at this point. So
Right.
whatever you have, whatever commentary you have is going to influence some future application.
Can I ask a question? Just curious, how does the L and the part of the dock in the deeper water, is that anchored in any way, or is it sitting on something, or is it just a floating connected out to the end of there?
It would be on the extending, like the pipe posts that go down to the ground with a mud pad. That
Okay.
goes onto the bottom. Yeah. So there would be basically I'm looking at 10-foot docks. So 10 or 12-foot docks. So at the joint of each one would be a pad coming down. So you got the existing dock coming out. So then coming out the depth I need, I'd be having 4 more, 2 off of each dock going down to the bottom, and then the L would have 4 more going that direction. 2 at the end of a 10-foot,
10 pads.
2 at the very end. Yeah.
How long are pontoon boats?
The one, my neighbor there that you can see, his is 23 feet.
Yee.
I asked him how long his is. I just purchased a 22-foot one. I'm not sure what's down south of me what those are, but I know like the
That's all
neighbor.
right. That seems to be about the, going.
Yeah, they seem to be like in the 22-foot range average. Like I've seen.
Okay. All right. Here's my segue, if you will, because your next issue for which you'd like some guidance, as I understand it, has to do with the bank of the lake on your property and the apparent undercutting due to wave action.
Right.
So, which would be in, given where, there we go. Given where I think, yeah, right. It'll be in this case to the right of the dock. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yep. So you can see under there, all the brush, basically, most of the brush is actually growing over the water right now. There's very little roots that are actually on the land. You can see on that top left-hand picture,
Yeah.
see it's pretty level in that area, and then all the growth that you see there, which is in the right below it, in the picture below, is all growing over the water, and it's cut in under there. You know, you can see you know, some areas that may have like where those steps go down on the top right hand picture. There's like a walkway goes down and there's a break. That's like, looks like it collapsed in already down by the water. You know, so we're, you know, part of the bank fell in already, and looks like the previous people threw some stones down there just to try to salvage a little bit, but you can see, you know, going across, it's missing, you know, it's not a straight line in that area where you're just pointing to previously. It's starting to fall down right in that area there already.
My
So,
guess is that that condition has existed for God knows how long.
exactly. The place was, I mean, it's been empty for probably the last 20 years. There's been very little people, you know, at that location. I think that boat that they left for me is a 1985 sticker on it or something like that, or sticker. So it hasn't been in the water for a while. Flip it over to see what was gonna be living under it, but it was.
Here's my point. While historical lake-related activities, whether it be wave action, whatever, you know, may have undercut some of the bank-related vegetation. You know, I see no evidence of it, you know, historically, you know, falling into the lake. I mean, it's still there. It's as I said, it's probably looked like that for the last umpteen decades.
Yeah.
My other point is that if in fact an L-shaped dock was approved, that its presence would baffle any wave action.
It would with the boat there, yeah. It would definitely.
Relative to the bank that you're concerned with.
Yep. It would definitely help in that area. The area behind the boat.
That's what I'm saying. So,
Yep.
In other words, it'd be a 20-foot dock, L-shaped, that in front of, 20 feet in front of the vegetation that we're looking at in the lower right.
Yes.
Which, you know, would temper the wave action.
Yep.
So as to not adversely affect what the existing condition is as we see it today.
Right.
Because what's been proposed or what the diagrams that, you know, I've seen, they're not unfamiliar to me, but I think they're a bit overkill.
Yeah, that was something I found on the internet. I mean, Google's this, you know, it's a dangerous tool sometimes. Like if you scroll down a little bit of the next page,
I mean, I would rather let nature take its course, particularly with if we go ahead with the L-shaped dock
Mhm.
and, maybe let that serve as the buffer, if you will.
Okay, but that won't take, if I get 75 foot of frontage on the water, that's only gonna take care of a third. And the biggest areas right here is, you can see my neighbor, right to the right of this little area here, years ago, they probably put up they got a bulkhead sitting there. So their water is right up, it's protected with the bulkhead, and then they have these rocks put down. So I mean, so what I, got down is what I found on the web is definitely overkill. I was hoping just to place, some key rocks like they are, just continue, with some rocks like that under the area that is being undercut where all those bushes are, all the brushes coming over.
So what if it is undercut? So what?
It's just, I'm gonna lose the bushes. They're, sooner or later, they're gonna fall in.
Well, all right, Chris, you have a comment?
Yeah.
Well, I'm just wondering, could we live with something like maybe a few strategically placed rocks by hand, maybe not quite as many as we're seeing on the neighbor's side, because I don't think they ever came for a permit for what they did either, but
Right.
we don't want to see everybody on the whole lake saying, hey, let's go dump a big pile of riprap in front of our property, because obviously that's
What I'm concerned with.
Exactly, and I'm not really proposing that. The pictures I showed down below definitely got the riprap, and they put a 4-to-1 pitch on the riprap and going down. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking to put some, Chris, the way you said it was just
Like if we could, maybe
some nice
like
round fields. If I can find some nice round field stones.
Yeah, maybe like
in
half
there.
the density of rock we're looking at in the neighbors, just a few placed under the bank. You don't want the bank falling in anymore. It's understandable, but we don't want to have, a great big pile of riprap thrown everywhere. That's
I definitely agree. I definitely like the natural look of it, and again, when he has his high water there, all those rocks are under the water anyways, but, I would just go with something very similar to his, and just like you said, just put some nicely placed, field stone in there. That looks natural to the area, and just place it under. You wouldn't even see it because those bushes are overhanging the water by about 4 feet right now.
For what?
The branches are overhanging the water by about 4 feet.
So what?
Excuse me?
So what? What's the big deal?
No, there's no big deal about the branches overhanging. I'm just saying, if I put rocks underneath, you wouldn't even see the rocks because the branches are gonna be overhanging.
Well, I guess, I hate to be the, admittedly, this is only advisory at this point, but again, that condition has persisted for God knows how long. And I just see no reason to.
I mean, I guess, if we have little, if people are living at the house more than they were in the past, I just, see a potential where it could start collapsing in, and my yard gets bigger if it collapses in, so.
Well, if that be the case, in the future, we can deal with it. But at the moment, I just see no need to take a proactive position, given that the shrubs and their root masses are probably, well entrenched, and I just don't see the need. But that's my opinion, and
Right.
the rest of the commissioners feel free to, state whatever they may state. But and again, this is just advisory, so you can always propose in the future whatever you'd like.
Yep.
But I'm just saying, my personal opinion would be to let nature take its course, and if something catastrophic happens, which I doubt, then we can deal with it.
Right, but then it comes to aesthetics. I mean, I don't want to have a $500,000 house that I'm paying taxes on, and then have a shoreline that has all these little gouges where things are starting to fall in. You know, why approach? And if I take Chris's approach and I just go after the areas that are worse and tuck stones under there where there's a cavity, I mean, I'm you know, saving the banks, saving the roots. I'm saving my aesthetic value of my property by not having the, you know, these culverts being, you know, carved out on my shoreline.
Like I said, I just think that that the existing condition has been the existing condition for decades, and you know, your $500,000 or whatever it is. I mean, you bought the lot per, you know, the conditions that are there. And the conditions that were there have probably been there for a long, long time. And until something warrants changing those conditions, I see no need to do so. But that's, again, that's just my opinion.
Yep. All right. So what's my next steps then? If I want to propose that if I want to go there and, you know, some of the areas that are.
As I said, you're free to propose whatever you want to propose.
Okay. So what's the, so I guess what's the process then? I mean, what do I have
Well,
to do
you
next?
know, again, you know, you're going to be filing a notice of intent in the future for residence-related activities, right?
Yeah, but I don't want to tie this in with other things that I'm doing to get my house built.
Why
So,
not?
Because
You
I
want to
already
do
have,
two notice?
well, my house, I already got approvals to take the house down. I already got approvals to put the foundations in.
Yes, correct.
So the only thing I got left now is a building permit. So, and I'm not sure exactly how involved the you know, your commission gets in on a building permit. The foundations and all the excavation work's been done and approved already. So I'm not sure.
Well, we have to sign off on the building permit, and to the
Okay.
extent that it complies with that which we've already approved, then, you know, we would have no comment.
So
if-
so that's why I'm
if it
hesitant to
differs
tie this
from
in
what-
with anything else. Because, you know, this is definitely your call on the things I'm talking about now. So I would like to keep it separate from my building permit.
Okay. Well,
Hey, I have one quick question.
Andrew,
If you have the L-shaped dock there, is that gonna be enough, or maybe, I know we're going to baffle that area. Is it gonna be enough to maybe resediment that area, potentially, or at least reduce the amount that's getting eroded, and then possibly with the wave action, maybe putting sand back into those cavities? I mean, it'd be hard to measure the effects of it,
right.
but it may minimize continued erosion, without having to put in a bunch of stone.
Yep.
I guess that kind of would be my opinion of, let's wait and see. You know, if in the future, you know, the entire embankment collapses and falls into the lake, and, you know, you're losing 10 feet of property, okay. But under the circumstances, I just don't see it.
Okay, so I was just thinking being proactive. I'm gonna have, you know, rather than fixing a big problem is gonna cost a lot of money. I was just trying to fix, you know, be proactive and lay a few stones down in some key areas and probably never have to do anything more to it.
Like I said, you know, when the time comes, you know, I would submit, you know, a notice of intent for the dock and for the whatever kind of riprap, stonage, blah, blah, blah you want to do. And, you know, we'll consider it at that time, you know, again, I'm one member,
Yeah.
out of,
Because
Now
if you go, can you go up one slide? No, just, was there one that had probably go back with the dock line. If you go back to the dock presentation again. So you can see, so, you know, basically right where the word lake is, which is Lower Nautique Lake. Right,
yeah,
that's where that big embankment is. So that's the area that really wouldn't get any blockage from the, you know, dock itself. You know, that's just where that's stone found. That's where those stones are placed. Where it says stone found. That's where those stones were placed by my neighbor. So that's in that area right there. So, you know, anything we do with the dock probably won't help that area there long term. And that's a pretty steep embankment going down. So the other area where the dock is, that levels out, and it's not as steep, but the other area is has a you know, it's a good size, good slope going down on that.
okay, acknowledged, you know,
Yep.
I've said what I. all I can
Okay.
say. I don't know about anyone else, any other comments, but, you know, I think we've given you some feedback. And as I
Yep.
said, you know, you're free to apply for whatever you want, and we'll reevaluate it, you know, when we have an application before us.
Okay. So my next step is a notice of intent. Should combine both things at once, and then your committee will look through it and you know, pick and choose. If the dock looks good, but half it doesn't look good, it's still covered type of thing.
Yeah, you know, I don't, you know, per se have an issue with the dock, and, you know, the jet skis go behind the dock, I assume, and and the pontoon boat goes in front, you know, so be it. But
Right.
my concern, as I think is clear, is the bank stabilization business. So,
Yeah.
again, you know, we can revisit it when the time comes.
I think if you're gonna submit an application, include a lot of detail about what your plan is for that. Just we've struggled in the past with other folks doing riprap and going a little beyond what we thought the
Yep.
like what the expectation was and what we all thought we agreed to. So I think that's part of the reluctance, is just, you know, we're supposed to make sure that there's as little manipulation as possible, and we want to make sure we're all on the same page, because your idea of putting a couple of stones in there may not be what we're all envisioning, and
Okay.
having as much detail would help, I think, get everybody on the same page.
I think
Okay. Yeah. And as you can see, I like pictures and images when I talk. So I can definitely, I mean, there's not a ton of snow up there. I can definitely get up there and take some better images of that area and lay out a tape measure so we can see. And, you know, if placing you know, a few stones in the location, we can nail that down pretty detailed, you know, to the size of the stone. You know, we don't want to throw a bunch of, you know, jagged riprap that was just, you know, quarried recently. We want something that looks, you know,
Right.
you know, definitely field stones, you know, something that's been tumbling around in the earth for a while that looks natural in that area. Similar like my neighbor. I mean, you know, his stone is you can walk on it, you're not gonna get cut on it, and maybe not as many. You know, like we're saying, just you know, tuck a few here and there, and just for some stabilization in some of the areas that are worse than others. And I can get out there and I can take some images and take some pictures and give you guys a good idea, so that we're all on the same page.
That'd be good.
All right. Okay, so if I get notice of intent, time frame to meet again, then after that.
Well, we meet on the 14th, but after that would be the 28th, presumably, and after that, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, it's not like you're gonna throw in the dock for a while.
Except I got to order the dock, so that's the one thing. It's you know, there's you know, 8 to 12 week lead time on getting, you know, docks, because everything is, you know,
Right,
supply chain issues.
Right.
You know, so, you know, if you know, I would like to get at least a dock on order. You know, I'm gonna get at least 2 docks going out straight,
Mhm.
on order. At least I'll have something to tie my boat up to, and, you know, I think that one there, it's a little bit easy permitting to get that dock straight out. And then, you know, if the 24-foot L goes good, I can always order that, and that can come in later on in the summer or something like that.
I think that's a good approach.
Yeah. So at least I can get something on order, so I can get it in, you know, when
Right.
before the lake starts coming up in water depths, and then
Yeah.
discuss the
No,
other
that-
one, and we'll go from there. All right.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay. So I'll proceed. I'll get some better images for, you know, for
Okay.
my application. I'll get those intent done, and
Mhm.
yeah.
All right,
All right. I appreciate your input. Thank you very much.
not a problem. Thanks, Al.
All right. Take care.
You too. Yes. Chris, comments? No?
I was waving.
I was just waving goodbye.
Oh, nice. Okay, with that, is Jassy, okay. Jassy, are you with us?
I am here, Marshall, yep.
Okay.
There we are, there I am.
There we go. This is Jassy Brecko from the North County Land Trust, here to discuss, well, a certain issue, and I'll leave it at that. Go ahead, Jassy, you're up.
Okay, thank you. I wonder, could I share my screen so I could put a
Do.
map up there?
Yep, yeah.
Okay. Okay, can you all see that map?
Not quite.
There it is.
Now we do. Yep,
Okay, takes a little while sometimes.
yep, no,
Okay, so I'm here tonight to ask if the Conservation Commission would like to sort of participate in a project with North County Land Trust that we've been working on for about the last year. And the overall objective of this is to connect the Trustees of Reservations Jewel Hill Conservation Area with the Mid-State Trail and other conserved land over here, the Summers CR and the Hartshorn CR. To do this, we've proposed, this actually wasn't our idea, this was Ed Vitoni's idea, who is one of the residents. We would like to create a trail that connects the Jewel Hill trails to the Mid-State Trail over here. And it would cross several private properties, of which the owners have all given their permission. The owners are all on board with putting this trail in there, which does exist in some places, but we would have to create it in other places. That's part of the project. The other part of the project would be to connect these conserved lands with, by conserving the lands in between them. So we have a longer corridor of conserved lands. And the Cullinger property, we are working with the Fitchburg Water Department to put a conservation restriction through the drinking water supply grant. The Vitoni property, we would like to work with the town of Ashburnham to apply for a land grant to put a CR on these 3 parcels, 3928, 3926, and 3927. And possibly a small section of this property also. This is not determined yet. So we would like to work with the Conservation Commission and the town of Ashburnham to put a CR on that property so that the Vitoni's land is conserved and then the Cullinger property is conserved. And what our hope is this would be strategic and encourage other landowners in the area over time to do the same thing. And the reason that I'm coming to the Conservation Commission is that a land grant is a local acquisition for natural diversity. I'm not sure if you're all familiar with that or not, but that is something that actually the Conservation Commission would have to apply for, and the Conservation Commission would have to hold the CR. And also the town would have to vote to acquire that CR at town meeting. So hence that's why I'm here tonight to see if the commission, first of all, would be willing to do this. The property has a lot of conservation values apart from its connectivity from one conserved area to another. The Curlinger property, a lot of it is in the Zone A and Zone C district of the Fitchburg water supply. And all of this land, if you can see this green hatch mark here, is all biomap critical natural landscape. So there are really good conservation qualities. We're connecting other conserved land, hoping to make a continuous area of conservation. We're protecting important wildlife lands, and we're increasing recreational opportunities and connecting to a long distance trail. So we feel that this is a project that is worth pursuing. North County Land Trust would work with the town. We would facilitate this. There would be no cost to the town because the grant would cover 66% of the cost of the CR, and we can apply for other grant funding to fund all the due diligence costs. So there should be no cost to the town, which I think is an important consideration. But there would be considerable benefit for recreation and habitat and water protection. The process that would be involved, and this grant has not been announced this year, but it is an annual thing, and it's generally announced in March, and the deadline is generally in mid-July. So we would have to have the application complete by July. And between now and then, we would, if the Conservation Commission approves us doing this, our next step would be to go to the Select Board and make sure that the Select Board is okay with it. And then it would have to go to town meeting for two reasons. The town would have to vote to acquire the land because, remember, the Conservation Commission would be holding the CR. And also, this is a reimbursement grant. So the town would have to vote to raise and appropriate the funding to purchase the CR, and then it would be reimbursed. And those two things could happen very quickly. But the town does have to vote to raise and appropriate that money, and would likely have to borrow that money for a very short period of time. And then the closing, we would know if the grant is successful probably by the end of the year. It's typically December timeframe when you hear if the grant is successful. And then you have 6 months, I believe, to close on it. So we would be closing on it, hopefully this time next year, working towards that.
So the town meeting vote comes before the grant is accepted?
Yes, I would aim to, it doesn't have to, it can come after, but it's much better to have that town meeting vote ahead of
Right.
time because they know that,
Oh,
that the town
yeah.
is going to approve this.
Mhm.
And, I would aim to go to annual town meeting with this.
Yep. And maybe you can just explain the issues with the Gardner property?
The Gardner property, as you can see, this property is sort of in between the two. The Gardners have agreed to allow a trail across their property. I've shown it here, but in speaking with them, they would rather actually have it way back along this back boundary. But they have agreed to allow the trail to be created, and they would like to try it for 1 year, just to be sure that it's not invasive of their property. They've not had a trail there before. Even though they do allow people on their land and on their trails now, they want to make sure that it doesn't become an issue for them, which I completely understand. So it is a temporary trail license that they've agreed to right now, but I do believe, I really don't foresee any problems. So I do believe it would hopefully become a more permanent fixture. But even without that trail, just conserving, we're hoping to conserve this property, and we're hoping, which connects to Fitchburg watershed lands and Jewel Hill, and the grant that we're applying for is to conserve this property, which would connect with these other protected lands here. And as you can see, critical natural landscape. And Ed Vitoni has trails on his property too that he's willing to allow the public to use.
Does Amy's Lane exist?
Yes, Amy's Lane does exist.
And
This exists now, and the trail exists from here into Jewel Hill,
okay,
but we would have to create it from about here to here, because Ed
Okay.
does have trails on his land.
okay,
And that's not something, that's something that North County Land Trust would work with the landowners to do.
Mhm.
Not something that we would ask the town to do.
a question I hadn't asked you before. Have you attempted to contact the Damons?
I have. I have reached out to them. I have not heard back, but it would be wonderful if we could obviously include either one of those parcels would be a plus.
Yeah, speaking from personal experience, I'm not sure that you'll hear back.
Right.
Uh.
And that, but I know there's several owners. It's not one owner, which makes things a little more
Well,
complicated.
it does. I mean, for the record, I live across the street from the Damons and the Curliners. So anyway, that's just a matter of fact.
Right. But I think all of the properties in the area would be of conservation interest.
Yeah,
This this one would be of conservation interest also. So just because of the important habitat there and
Right.
recreational value.
Yeah.
I had a question about the trail cutting across the gardener's land. So if they decided they just are uncomfortable, or they change their mind, I believe the owner just south of the gardeners is that Rod Lewin? Did I get the name right?
This property here.
Yeah, I might have his name wrong, but I think Anna knows him because Anna mentioned his name to me once. But I was just thinking if that might be a nice, if he was open to it, an alternative route, because it looks like you could swing down, pick up that south corner from the Curlinger property and then swing around. So you wouldn't have to cross on the gardener's land at all if you got permission from him. I believe his name's Lewin, and that's
I do have his name on another.
yeah.
I have the names of all of these people on another sheet that I don't have right in front of me. So, but I could look that up and.
Just as a backup plan. Hopefully he'd be open to that.
Right.
Yeah, because it seems kind of risky to just have a 1 year permission for it after putting in all of this effort. and then make
Well-
money by-
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think they are very agreeable to it.
Okay, good.
But you know, and this is something new for them, and it's always good for a landowner to have an out if they
Yeah.
need it. If there's a real problem, let them try it first. And I don't foresee any issues, but that is their comfort level right now. And but even without that connecting trail, Ed does have trails on his land that he allows access to, and it's worthy of conservation for other reasons also.
Yeah. But the idea of connecting the Jewel Hill Trail to the Mid-State is really, yeah, that's a gem. That's really a
That's
special.
good, yeah.
Yeah.
So how do you get on the Vetoni trails now? If you lets people in there?
Well, you can. I think you'd have to know where they are,
Uh-huh.
but you can access them because I've walked over it once with him. You can access them from the Mid-State, but part of what we would do would be to clearly mark where the trails are, so it would be easy for people to get from one place to the other. This trail would be marked and blazed, and so right now it's not easy to find, but it would be.
Okay,
It will be, I should say.
Have you been on that section where your black dashed line trail attaches to the Mid-State? Yeah, right where your cursor's moving. Because I know there's a spot around there where it's easy to lose the Mid-State because there's a great big, almost like a logging road that goes off to the right. And I accidentally took one. So is that same point, or that's something else, do you think? In other words, is that black trail that's there on your map, is that really subtle right now, or is it pretty obvious?
It was pretty clear, but to be honest with you, I was following behind Ed, who knew it well.
Oh,
So as I say, I've only been on it once, but it will, even if it's not clear now, part of what we will be doing is making it clear. We will be, creating that trail, widening it, if it's really, really narrow, and blazing it. So it may not exist in great form right now, but the whole point is it will.
Okay, I was just trying to think if I've seen it before, but I may have, didn't notice it.
I just had a couple questions about the financials because I'm sure it'll come up at town meeting.
Yes.
So I know you said this grant would cover 66% of it. So I guess my questions all boil down to sort of one question, but so all of those other grants that are going to cover the other remaining percentage and this one, what happens if one or several of them don't come through and the town, does the town already take out the loan, or do we wait until the grants are all accepted first? I don't know if you know the details of that or.
Yeah, so the Vetonis have very generously agreed to a bargain sale for their CR. So right there, we don't have to come up with the full appraised value. The property will be appraised for purposes of applying for the grant, but the Vetonis have agreed to a bargain sale, and they will agree to whatever the grant will cover. And if there is a grant, it's called a conservation assistance for small communities that has a rolling application that if the Conservation Commission and the Select Board agree to go ahead with this, the town would apply for. And again, I can facilitate that. That would pay for 80% of the appraisals. And there are a couple of other grants that we can look to, that we're fairly confident of, that we can look for the rest of the due diligence. And in this instance, the due diligence would really be the appraisal, and there would not need to be any survey done because there's been a recent survey of the whole property. we'd have to have closing costs and baselines and things like that. But the due diligence would be quite minimal, and I believe we're pretty confident that we can get that covered. But the article at town meeting, in instances like this, will typically read that approval is pending a successful grant application, because you never can be guaranteed, especially with a land grant. You can never be guaranteed that your application will be successful. So you never want to tie the town into something if you're not going to get the grant funding. So we would make sure that the town meeting warrant article is worded so that, acquiring the CR is contingent on getting the grants.
Thank you.
Right. So the town wouldn't be bound, to moving forward unless, in fact, the grants were granted.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I should also mention that, of course, if the Conservation Commission does hold the CR, then, that it then becomes the responsibility of the Conservation Commission. So,
to do the monitoring.
yes.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that would actually be really easy if this trail existed, because you could go along Russell Hill Road on one side and observe the trail on the other side, and there you go. It's a really easy monitoring compared to a lot of parcels. So I don't think
Right.
that would be a problem for the commission.
Okay. Yeah.
So Jassy, what do we need to do? Do we need to vote on something, or?
I think that would be good. I would like to have a vote if you're in agreement, so that I can go to the select board and say, the Conservation Commission has voted that they would like to move ahead with this grant application, and that you are willing to hold the CR or CRs if we, and then there's no question.
Right. All right, then. Unless there's objections, otherwise I'd make a motion to the Conservation Commission to approve of the grant application for conservation restrictions on properties south of Russell Hill Road, multiple properties, which in fact would connect the Jewel Hill Trustees of Reservations Conservation Land with the Mid-State Trail. And that's about it.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Marshall Dennis, aye.
Kristen Godfrey, aye.
Chris Picconi, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Andrew Henderson, aye.
Can we take a vote though, without it being like on the public meeting? Hearings
What's that?
section? Can we vote even though it's not in the hearing section?
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out if we can.
Well, the agenda said that Jassy, was coming to talk about something from North County Land Trust, and all we're voting on is that we support an application for a grant. So
Okay.
it's in line with things we voted on before.
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with the fact that it was on the agenda, and the fact that it led to a vote is, it's the way it goes.
From my understanding in other Conservation Commission meetings I've been to, and I was an Open Space Committee member for 20 years too, so that's what you would do. We don't have a public hearing for this as long as the meeting was posted correctly and it was on the agenda, and you have a quorum, then
Yeah,
vote on anything you want.
yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, we have 5 of the 6 members, so I think we're good.
Great.
All
Well,
right.
thank you very much. So my next step will be to go to the select board, and I'll keep you posted as to our progress.
Yeah, let me know when that may be scheduled.
Okay,
If you need, or it would be helpful if, someone from the commission was there just kind of in the background.
that would be great. I think it would be really helpful, especially as I'm not a town resident. I always think it's
Right.
great. Yeah.
I don't know whether, I don't know how long these Zoom things versus in-person things will take place, but nonetheless, just let me know, and we'll have a representative there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
All right, Jesse, thanks.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
All right, take care. All right. All right. Other business, we have 2 certificates of compliance have been applied for. One is for 75 West Shore Drive. I am in receipt of the request certification. I mean, this is something that was issued in 2010. It was for a septic system, and they've paid the fee. So I see no reason why. I'm sure the site is stabilized. We shouldn't proceed with issuing the order of condition or the certificate of compliance. So barring objections, I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for 75 West Shore Drive.
Second,
All those in favor, Marshall Dennis, aye.
Kristen Godfrey, aye.
Chris Bocconi, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Andrew Henderson, aye.
Awesome. So next on the agenda then is another request for a certificate of compliance for 5 Holiday Drive. Which they have also paid the fee. And let's see. I have a certificate of installation from the Neshoba Associated Boards of Health. So again, this was from this was more recent. Oh, no, it wasn't. I take it all back. This is from 20 years ago. So that's more recent, right? I don't know why it takes people so long, but nonetheless, I'm going to make a motion to approve this certificate of compliance for 5 Holiday Drive.
Second,
All those in favor? Marshall Dennis, aye.
Kristen Godfrey, aye.
Chris Bocconi, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Andrew Henderson, aye.
Awesome. All right, so that's it. Now, Mr. Vanchek, are you with us? Jeff?
Yeah, I'm here.
Good. What can we do
Actually,
for you?
let me into the meeting on my computer.
You're not coming in clearly.
Yeah, I'm looking to get in on my computer. I have, sitting here using my phone for whatever reason. My screen's telling me the meeting host does not let me in the confirmation. So I use my phone to get in.
You're still not coming in clear.
It sounds like he tried to call in with his phone and he can't get in, he has to be admitted by the meeting host. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, yes. Did you hear me then?
Yeah,
So if someone let me in, I will hang up this phone. I'll talk to you on my computer screen.
all right.
It looks like Marshall is trying to let you in. Hang on a second.
Oh, he's, you know, don't let me move with a mouse. Yeah, they'll be held at pay.
Can you see him in the waiting room, Marshall? Like there should be like a,
Wait, I see participants. I don't see a waiting room. Reactions? No, I don't think so. Share screen.
Maybe she didn't make you the host, Marshall.
What?
Oh, Marshall is listed as the host.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just for the record, my assumption is that Jeff's participation has to do with his appeal of the order of conditions for 162 Ashby Road.
Correct.
Thank you. You are here.
Again, I'm on the phone. I'm still not in the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Well, we can
All
hear him
right.
now.
Well,
He can stay.
yeah. Yeah, we can hear now, so maybe he can go ahead and just maybe just talk to us.
Well, I was trying to share something on the screen, but yeah, I'm
Oh.
happy to. Conversation. I guess it doesn't. I don't know why it won't let me in, but not let me in. I guess that's the answer.
I don't have a. I don't have a waiting list. I don't. See, I just did it again.
I can see Jeff as a participant, so maybe that's.
You can?
I wonder if it's because I'm on my phone. Let me hang up and see if I can just join on my computer.
Okay, all right.
Right back.
Yep.
He's still there.
Oh, yeah.
It's weird.
If he hung up his phone but didn't switch the audio, he might still be in the meeting. We should have told him how to. Oh, there he goes. He's gone. I should have told him how to switch the audio before he hung up.
Well, while we're waiting, are there any comments relative to the meeting minutes of December 13th?
No,
All right, then I'm going to make a motion to approve said minutes.
Second,
All in favor? Marshall Dennis, aye.
Kristen Godfrey. Aye.
Chris Piconi, aye.
Ann O'Connor, aye.
Andrew Henderson, aye.
All right, awesomely read. And the only other thing I had on the agenda besides Jeff's presence was just an update on the right of first refusal for the Holt Road property, which I've been working with Janet Morrison and Brian, our town administrator, and trying to make things right in terms of the application with a notice of right of first refusal, which was kind of a mess, and attempting to, make it right. So the property appears to be wanting to buy by an abutter, but we don't exactly know for what purpose, despite the fact that a subdivision plan for this 6.92 acre property was submitted to and approved by the planning board. But Janet is in discussions with the Marbles and Richard Jeffrey Marble and Pam, I assume Marble Sherman. So I don't know. Anyway, that's just an update at this point. Receive an RDA for our next meeting. So
for the minutes, would I say that the Marble property is coming out of chapter 62? So it was,
coming, it appears to be wanting to become out of chapter 61 into some residential status. That's the bottom line from the ROFR documents that were received by the town.
Okay.
However, what was approved as a subdivision plan and what was filed as an option plan on behalf of the buyer is totally different. So, one really is not sure based on the ROFR documents what the hell is going on, which is why I drafted a letter for the town administrator for his submittal to the Marbles, which requested that they resubmit the ROFR documents because as they were deficient. So based on Janet's assistance and input.
still no waiting room, huh?
Yeah, so Chris, open space meeting tomorrow, yes?
Yeah, I'll go.
Okay.
Poor guy. Poor Jeff sat through all those other hearings that were really boring.
Well, I don't want to shut him out, but I mean, it's 7:45 and maybe he should have just stuck with the verbal.
How time important is it that he talks to us today rather than at the next meeting?
All right. I will summarize in his absence. Jeff and the neighbor, the Johnsons, filed an appeal of our order of conditions for 162 Ashby Road, which was designed by Paul Razowitz and ultimately approved by the commission after, well, at least more than one hearing. I received a phone call from a woman at DEP who apparently was responsible for dealing with the appeal. And I should note that he only appealed it to DEP under the Wetlands Protection Act. So I sent her an email basically saying, I'm aware of it. I've reviewed the appeal documents, which is just a page of, he didn't do this, he didn't do that. And I never heard back from her. So, and it wasn't bounced back to me either. So I'm assuming, and I got her email from the DEP Central Regional Office staff listening. So I'm sure it went through. So I was kind of waiting for her to get back to me about what, her next steps were. Interestingly enough, he did not appeal the order under the Wetlands Protection Bylaw to Superior Court, which is also required because the DEP's issuance of a superseding order is sort of irrelevant without the other part. So I don't know. I'm not particularly looking forward to testifying in front of Superior Court, but hey, it's always something new. Testified at adjudicatory hearings before, but not in front of Superior Court.
So does he know that he's going to do this?
The letter that was sent to the applicant, Mr. Chris Aiken, which Mr. Vanchek received a copy of, stated that he, the applicant, of his right to appeal under the Wetlands Protection Act to DEP and his right to appeal under the bylaw to Superior Court. So I'm assuming that, Mr. Vanchek has been around for a bit. I don't think he's unfamiliar with these proceedings. So, before I'm not going to do anything until I hear back from whatever the Wetlands deed, which I probably should call at this point since I haven't heard back after a couple of weeks. And I don't know what, if, let's say DEP amends the order we issued and we don't have an issue with it. Problem is that if they issue a superseding order, then I think he's obligated, Vanchek is obligated to go to Superior Court. We can't just amend what we've done because now if DEP were to suggest we make, then we could do so, and then that would preclude the need to go to Superior Court. But if they actually issue a document then we're toast. Not toast in the fact that we've lost, but the fact that, we got to go through the rest of the process. As does Mr. Vanchuk. So,
I put in the minutes that we waited 10 to 15 minutes because we talked about those other items. So I think it's been, would you agree? It's been at least 10 to 15
yeah,
minutes.
go ahead. Whatever you've got.
So I think
Yeah, no, I mean, and if he chimes in, okay.
hopefully he can join the next meeting or send us a written.
Well, I've got nothing else on the commission agenda.
Yeah.
And I think it's reasonable if the minutes reflect that we waited, that he was here, then he wasn't here.
Yeah.
And that he failed to reappear. I think we're probably good.
Does he have a deadline that he's going to reply to these guys?
No, I think he was probably chiming in either to confirm that the commission had received the appeal, and two, to ask if we had an update relative to the status with respect to DEP, which we do not, other than what I just told you.
Okay.
And I think the next move is DEPs. And, I'm not anxious to prod DEP. I mean, I know they've got their own issues, but I think out of curiosity, and see if I get a call back, but otherwise I really think the ball's in her court. So that's where we are. Next meeting on February 14th. Despite the day.
Kind of sad that none of us seem to have plans that day.
I was going to say, don't set it aside. It is sad, but that's what happens.
That's what happens when you join the commission.
Ah,
Don't tell Catherine.
Hard hats.
Exactly. Or you get this old and blah, blah, blah. All right. In that case, I think we're probably done here. It's close to 8 o'clock. Chris,
Yeah.
we needed what, 15 plus minutes?
Yep. Yeah, I'd say 15 to 20 at this point because it was 5 more than when I
All
said
right. Well,
15 to 20.
all right. I don't think it was that critical then.
Yeah.
I think it was going to accept the minutes thus far and I'll make a motion to close the meeting for January 24th and adjourn, so to speak.
Second,
All those in favor? Marshall Dennis.
Kristen Godfrey, aye.
Chris Picconi, aye.
And O'Connor, aye.
Andrews and I.
All right, Chris, I'll see you tomorrow at the open space meeting. Just FYI, there's also a meeting tomorrow night at the exact same time, 5:30 via Zoom on the marijuana application of Eddie's Flowers.
One on 119 and 101.
Yes, at the country
Yeah,
store.
Yeah.
Oh,
That's been
no.
on Facebook.
If so interested, then, otherwise I would be attending, but I'm going to be otherwise occupied, so. But so be it.
All right.
All right. All right, that's it. All right, folks.
Dinner.
Thanks very much.
Bye.
Good, everybody.
Have a good
Good
night.
to see you all after all this, but we'll do it again in a couple weeks. Hey, have a good one.
You too.
Yep.